Good afternoon, everyone. This is Taylor Hudson, joined by Hugh McNaughton from Sprague Energy for our not our regularly scheduled market brief, and unfortunately, we wish the conditions were better where we give you this update. We wanted to talk to customers today about what's going on after Hurricane Sandy, and to the best of our abilities, kind of give a broad overview. We don't have all the information, but we do want to share with everyone what we do have. Let's start, Hugh, with general market dynamics. We saw the market rally ahead of the storm. Today, the market's come off a little bit. What do you think the market is thinking after the storm and as it watches all the pictures on CNBC?
Well, as dramatic as those pictures are, actually what comes to mind here is Sprague's motto is for our customers is demand more than supply, which is very clever. And obviously relates to the fact that we expect our customers to have all of their requirements filled, not just their supply requirements. Anyway, this has turned out to be a much more of a demand-related event than it is supply, which is rather strange in terms of the fact that most people would think a hurricane's going to come in and blow down or flood refineries and impact on supply. What it's done is, by virtue of really leaving behind relatively, so far, minimal damage, as we can determine, it has impacted much more on the region's supply dynamics than it has on, demand dynamics rather than their supply. And that's because primarily the U.S. East Coast refineries, such as the left, is really only about one-third to half of the region's requirements. So to the extent that they may have been knocked out temporarily or shut down or reduced their operating levels, the fact is that the impact on the reduction in demand by the unfortunate U.S. East Coast consumers has been much more dramatic than it has been on supply. As a result, we are now correcting the pre-storm run-up, and I think you've got some pretty good ideas in terms of where we are cash-wise.
Before we get to the cash markets, it's a good point. Last few days, there's been some news out of Europe about Spain and German unemployment, things like that, and with the stock market closed the last 2 days, we really haven't seen the financial markets sort of focus on anything other than New York. So perhaps we're going to come back and the economic worries will be what we're talking about by the end of this week or early next week. Interesting point about demand backing off with the airports down. Not a lot of people commuting in New York City metro area. Today's cash market activity was indicative of supply sort of backing up without any demand. In the Gulf Coast, we saw distillates drop for the second day in a row. We saw cash values for heating oil in the Gulf drop a couple of cents, as well as for diesel fuel. In New York Harbor, we saw heat maintain the same level it's been trading. No one's quite interested in that yet. Diesel came off 25 points. Caro and RBOB were off a penny. So the cash market definitely is not rallying right now as people scramble for supply. I think, like you said, there's plenty of supply around. It's just nowhere to go. Another indication of sort of near-term tightness is the nearby future spread. So we're watching the November contract and how it trades relative to the December contract. Before the storm, we saw the spread go from a 90-point backwardation right up to 2.5 cents. Today we went back down to about a penny 70. I think we even saw a trade only 90 points backwardation again today. So that appears to be indicative of a cash market that's not on a knife's edge right now. So let's talk specifically about those East Coast refiners, Hugh. Which ones are down? Which ones maybe will be back sooner than the others? What was Sandy's impact on those 4 or 5 refineries that we still have left on the East Coast?
The bottom line, Taylor, is that we've got the East Coast, U.S. East Coast refining capacity now is about 1.2 million barrels a day, give or take. 300,000 barrels, about 300,000 barrels of it, which is primarily one refinery, and unfortunately from a standpoint of supply, it's a key one, is ConocoPhillips Bayway Refinery in Linden, New Jersey, in New York Harbor, that is, along with a smaller upgrading facility, an FCC unit run by Hess at 90,000 barrels a day in the same area.
What is an FCC unit? What does that mean that they produce?
That would be a fluid catalytic cracker. Specifically, it doesn't run crude oil. It runs a vacuum gas oil, a partially refined crude oil, as a feedstock, and it makes gasoline. Okay. Is primarily what it is. Those two are, in fact, of the 1.2 million, what are still at stake, because the other almost 900,000 barrels a day worth of refining capacity, remarkably, in fact, I guess, given the size of the storm and the damage it could have created, are mostly on their way back. Those are the Philadelphia area refineries, which in many cases were not shut down completely, as was the ConocoPhillips Bayway refinery, were really put into reduced runs. So the bottom line is we don't have anywhere near the damage that we might have anticipated, or effect even we might have anticipated. But of course, there is still a large question on what is an important source of gasoline for New York Harbor, and that is those two smaller ones.
So we'll be watching really any news about Phillips 66 and their Linden, New Jersey refinery. That would be a big market mover if we discover tomorrow or the next day that that's going to be out for an extended period of time.
Particularly gasoline.
For particular gasoline. Okay, and I think I read somewhere today that actually that refinery was one that did suffer some damage from Irene, and had flooded last year and was down for quite some time. So hopefully we're going to avoid that again. Finally, want to take you guys through some of the terminal closings that we're monitoring here. For the most part, everything north of Connecticut seems to have fared just fine, and other than some minor power outages overnight, points like Providence, Boston, Newington, Portland, obviously Rensselaer, or Albany, we're not hearing about any real problems from the storm. In Connecticut, the big story continues to be Magellan's New Haven terminal, which is completely down. We're getting some indications that East Street and Forbes have power problems, no power in particular. Waterfront has power, but might be battling some water issues that may take a little bit longer to fix. Motiva Bridgeport is completely down with no power, but they're talking about a restart possible tomorrow. Back to New Haven, seems that Motiva New Haven were reporting this morning that all products other than mid and regular grade gasoline were open, and they expected the balance of products to be available by the end of today. In Wethersfield, the Buckeye terminal has heat available, but minimal gas and no diesel fuel. As you travel further south, the major damage becomes apparent, unfortunately, in that Metro New York and Long Island and northern New Jersey area. In Brooklyn, we are hearing that Metro and Motiva are without power and having some issues with potentially flooding. Out on Long Island, Motiva Lawrence and Carbo Lawrence are still down without power, potential flooding issues there. In northern New Jersey, we've got New Star Linden without power, Sun Newark without power and flooding. As far as a small one in New Jersey is Duck Island over in Trenton. They expect operations to resume shortly tonight, although with low diesel fuel. In southern New Jersey, as we head down the coast, Paulsboro is completely down with no power as well, and no timeline available on a restart. Philadelphia seems to have fared okay. We have ARFA at Point Breeze with gasoline expected to be back up by 6 o'clock tonight, and the Plains terminal in Philadelphia fully operational. So again, our thoughts are with our colleagues in the Metro New York and New Jersey and Connecticut areas and Long Island. And we wish all of our customers well if they were impacted in